everyone, welcome to another episode of the Geek Coast channel. I'm your host, the Wizardry Demigod David, and I hope you're all doing fantastic wherever you are in the universe. Howdy do you guys? Sorry it's been a hot minute, been busy with life. Did do a recording of this particular episode, but kinda didn't like it, and also, like I said earlier, just got busy with life. But here I am now and stuff, but before we get along with this episode, I'm gonna do some, announcements or some things or say some things. I don't know. Anyways, right now, even though I have been busy with life, I've been actually watching some TV series and noticed some movies out here and there and stuff. I'm currently watching The Last of Us, which so far is absolutely amazing. Great writing. Can't wait to do a review of that particular series once we reach the season 1 ending, which is still quite a ways, but still something in the future to look forward to and stuff. Also, been watching a couple watching a couple animes, I guess, or animations. One is I'm currently on My Hero Academia season 5, I think it is. I think it's season 5. I think that's where we're on. But I noticed some news coming out from their dub studios in I think it's in Dallas, Texas. They're facing some weather, so they're taking a bit of a setback on releasing episodes, but hopefully once they're back and running and we get some episodes out, I'll also do a review of that. I'm also currently binging Cobra Kai also. I think that is season 5 also, and we'll have a future review episode on that also, which so far I'm kind of liking it, but we will see how it goes. Hopefully it gets better. And I also noticed on Disney Plus, I think Wakanda Forever came out. So I did not see that one in theaters, so I'm kind of semi-excited to see it. Heard some good things about it, so we'll definitely watch that. And also put out a episode review on that one to give you out my thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, that's so far what's going on wise, as far as I know of all the stuff I've been watching. I've been also watching this one show, which they're currently on their season 2, which I think that's coming to an end, so we might have that review coming up really, really soon, which is The Legend of Vox Machina, which I am absolutely loving it so far. It's great. Haven't watched it yet, check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. Watch it. But yeah, guys, anyways, let's get to this episode. It's going to be one of those, like, my top favorite, blah, blah, blah kind of things, which I think this one's going to be at least top 10, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure it is. And it's one I did tease on some of my social media platforms, and I just haven't got to it because A, I didn't like the recording and didn't want to do editing on it, and B, I just got busy with life. But here we are now, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this episode. I think it's an interesting one. It's something, I think it's by the time I should point out different areas of the nerdum, geekum, and stuff like that, even though most of my episodes I've noticed have been more of the sci-fi realm. So we're going to switch it up a bit and go into the fantasy realms. So this episode is going to be basically my top 10 favorite fantasy battles. And I'm kind of excited about this one because a lot of movies over the time, especially in the fantasy realms, TV series and movies actually, produce really great battle sequences and stuff like that. Some, they looked awesome, but they're really not. Others, meh. But we still have some really great ones, and two franchises in particular will be dominate this list. So if you, to those that actually really know me, you probably might guess one of the two franchises that will be dominate the list, but I try to make it as versatile as possible, and also it was kind of interesting, it was kind of hard to pick which one is better than the other, in my own personal opinion. So that's pretty much it. But I'm very excited about it. I'm also going to try to not do like top 10, top 5 favorite ones. I might try to mix it up a bit. Maybe put out, I have a couple ideas of episodes I want to do and stuff. And really trying to get a friend of mine who I know is back in town to come join my podcast and co-host me, or at least join in for 1 or 2 episodes and stuff like that. Like, it would be awesome to have someone else here that we can debate, talk, have different opinions, and funny commentary and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll be down the line in the future. If not, then it'll just be little old me, and you guys will like it. Yeah. Anyways, let's get with this. So we're gonna, like I said, this is my top 10 favorite fantasy battles. Uh, really, no particular rules for this one other than the fact that it has to be purely a fantasy battle. So it cannot be based off of like a historical battle or based off a story. So those of you that think that the battle scenes from the movie 300 was going to be on there, I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. It's based on an actual battle, the Battle of Thermopylae, and the actual story of that battle is actually still as epic as they depict in the movie 300s. But unfortunately, it will not be on this list. I might maybe do a maybe a list of that or something along those lines. But anyways, let's get to this list. So we're gonna start at number 10. Excuse me, guys. Ugh, dying over here. Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna start at number 10. At number 10, we have from the video game by BioWare, called Dragon Age Origins, and this is the Battle of Ostagard. So those of you who don't know the game of of Dragon Age Origins, it's a RPG game. It's also one of those type of games where you can create, like, you can be an elf, dwarf, man, whatever. You have your own little backstory of, like, you can be a noble or a peasant or a slave or some stuff like that, and blah blah blah. But it's a really fun game, and it's also one of those games where whatever decisions and choices you make will affect the game and the outcome of the game and stuff like that. There is another big battle scene in this one, which is like in the final battle sequence, but I rather do this one because it's actually a more straightforward battle, because the other one you have choices to have different armies. Like, I think there's like one choice you can choose to side with like wood elves or werewolves and stuff like that. So I feel like that's kind of not fair to do this for this particular one, but I feel like the Battle of Oscar still so. And it's also a great like in a cinematic. Sorry, words are terrible these days. It's a cool battle sequence. You play basically a recruit of a religious? No, they're not religious. Some kind of like magical warrior society or group known as the Grey Wardens. And you're with the King of Ferelden, which is the kingdom that's currently facing what is evil forces known as Darkspawns. And they have started what may be or may not be, at the time of the battle, a blight, which is basically they dug in the ground, found the remains of a dark god or god, which turns out to be dragons, and they corrupt it to make it into like basically an evil, destructive dragon that can control all the dark spots and stuff like that. So, anyways, so the King of Ferelden, with his most trusted, loyal general, keywords, loyal general, basically created an army according with the Grey Wardens, even though the loyal general doesn't like the Grey Wardens in particular. And their goal is to make sure they find the Archdemon, which is the dead dragon god that controls the entire blight, kill it, and stop the blight before it spreads into the rest of Thedas. I think it's the world or the realm of this land. So the battle sequence is actually cool. You see the Darkspawn coming out of the forest. You see the King of Ferelden with the leader of the Grey Wardens, which is, you found out during the game, his name is Duncan. Pretty cool, awesome warrior. And they lead basically a frontal charge against the Darkspawn, and you see this like cinematically cool battle sequence. And you as the player has to help defend a tower to signal his loyal general to basically to send in the second wave or like a flanking attack or stuff like that. But found out there's Darkspawn in there. So after a few battle sequence here and there of defeating the Darkspawn, you managed to light the flare or the signal to commence the attack, and the quote-unquote loyal general decides to turn his back away. And the battle soon becomes a desperately last stand of Duncan, the leader of the Grey Wardens, and the King of Ferelden. Again, words are hard today, guys. Jesus fracking Christ. But, yep, and you see this cool battle sequence of the end battle where the King of Ferelden and Duncan are doing a last man stand situation. See the king taking down Darkspawn here until a giant ogre appears, grabs him, crushes his body, and throws it. And you see Duncan doing this cool, like, battle, one-on-one battle with this orc and finally killing him and take him down, but unfortunately he was in the end killed. So at the end, the battle is a travesty. The kingdom lost pretty much half of its army. The Grey Wardens who were there to help were pretty much all of them massacred, save for two of them, which, if you guys ever played the game, which, if you guys never played a game, that's a kind of spoiler to what happened in that battle. And yeah, I forgot to mention this, there will be, most of this list will be spoiler-related stuff. So if you haven't seen any of these battles, TV shows, movies, whatever, consider yourself spoiled. Alert, now. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah. And the rest of the game is pretty much you with your Grey Warden buddy creating a party and do what you can to save the kingdom for everyone. So, blah, blah, blah on that note. So, but yeah, like I said, the battle sequence was really cool. Just seeing, the different dark spawns, which, you have like, regular human-sized ones, dwarf-sized ones, and other scary dark spawns here. And then you just see the Kingdom of Ferelden with like, mainly humans and stuff. But it was a cool battle sequence. I liked it. It was kind of cool to watch and then just see that, the twist at the end. What a twist and stuff. So yeah, that was a pretty cool battle sequence. But let's move on forward to the number 9 on this list, which is the final battle sequence in a movie known as Warcraft, or also was known as Warcraft: The Beginning. But yeah, anyways, the movie Warcraft is an interesting adaptation of based off the video game. Never played the video game, but from what I understand, this is like a prequel to the video game of just like how the main story of the video game basically, or the history of it started, stuff like that. Anyways, to get some backdrop, you got the humans' lands are now being invaded by orcs from different dimensions whose their world is dying, and they need to move somewhere else in order to live, and blah 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 and stuff. And they're led by evil sorceress orc who can basically take life and stuff. So as the film progressed, the king decided to go to request aid from all the other kingdoms in inland around him, and they all said no. So in a desperate move, he led whatever soldiers he had on him, even though he was outnumbered, and their main objective, instead of defeating the orcs, they want to try and save as many people as possible from the orcs. So it ends up being a battle of rescuing people instead of defeating the enemy, which I thought that's actually kind of cool. And the actual battle sequence itself, how it started, where you see like the men charging up in their armor and swords, but yet helping them, which they had aid from dwarves to have basically guns. So yeah, it's actually cool seeing guys in armor just shooting guns and charging at these like giant beastly orc guys that are just getting knocked down and stuff, which kind of caused them to break the charge of the orcs. But it's a cool sequence. Like I said, you just see like the king ordering one group to go and take basically the gate, which it's a giant great gate where the orcs can keep on coming in and stuff, and then also another group rescuing the civilians and getting to the gate, and they're all hopeless to like this one main wizard guy who also becomes corrupt, but later on becomes uncorrupt after facing a couple of our heroes, and managed to create a portal using that gate to create a portal to the kingdom, and sending all the civilians in there while the soldiers basically defend the gate as long as they can, try to get everyone back. But unfortunately, the wizard dude dies, the gate closes, then reopens to have more orcs pour out. And again, just like in the Battle of Ostagard for the previous list, it just turns up to be in a last man kind of stand battle. So it was a cool sequence. I liked it. I thought it was very interesting, very well story within the story of the battle, which I kind of like how these especially on the ones on the list, it's like you have these stories within the battle, like even though you have a greater main story going on, but the battle itself needs to has its own story. So I thought that was really cool that like their goal was to save the civilians instead of defeating the enemy and stuff. So it was really cool. And then later on you get to have a one-on-one battle between like I guess like the main brutish orc guy, which has like a sick freaking weapon hand, and our main hero who later on from our main hero arrived late in the battle to rescue the body of the king and stuff. So you get a cool one-on-one battle duel and stuff. So that was actually kind of cool. So the next one, which we're on number 8, is from the movie Willow, the movie, not the TV series that just came out, but the movie Willow. And this is its final battle sequence, which is known as the Battle of Nakamura. So the Battle of Nakamura, which is a pretty cool sequence, even at the beginning of it, you have the Terralese rebels take on Queen Morda. Jesus, words are hard. This is probably the hardest word episode I think I've ever did. There might be a counter somewhere eventually of like how many words I can screw up today. But yeah, and basically the evil queen, who's also a sorceress, turns the entire army into pigs. Save for our hero, our little midget hero, Willow. And with the help of bringing back yet another powerful sorceress, they manage secretly to turn everyone back from pigs into humans. But they are still not prepared and ready, so they devise a plan to basically have the gates open and they will all rush in and stuff. Which that sequence is actually kind of cool. You see, Willow with the great sorceress taunting the soldiers to come and kill them or fight them and whatever, and then out of nowhere with a signal from Willow, the entire army just raises from the ground and rushes into the gate and stuff like that. And it's a fantastic battle sequence, especially like the main evil General Kell, which he has a cool skull mask. That was a really cool skull mask, and also his sword, which was like pretty much a razor sword or something like that, like a saw sword. It was really cool, and see him taking down like one of the main generals of the army, and then seeing Mad Mordican finally taking up the finally become a knight and does a great one-on-one duel and stuff like that. So you got like that story between that going on, and also you got the sorcerers fighting each other in the tower to save Alora Dannon, who's the supposed main savior of this universe and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it was a cool battle sequence. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. Just seeing, every character in the movie or in the story helping one way or another in the battle. So it was really, really cool. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a interesting battle sequence and definitely well deserved to be on this list. So now at number 7, we're going to have probably the first of one of these franchises on the list, and that is the Battle of Castle Black from Game of Thrones. So this is a very interesting and awesome battle. I actually do like this battle a lot out of all the battles that Game of Thrones have done. As you have these like desperate people, the wildlings, who are obviously, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, they're fleeing from the White Walkers because they're just getting decimated and their dead bodies are being added to his army and stuff like that. And there's this giant wall that's constructed, blah, 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 whatever year, hundreds of years ago, whatever. And you have basically these groups, this night order known as the Night Watch, defending these walls, especially against the wildlings. So you got like all these wildlings, they have like these giant monstrous giant creatures. They have mammoths, and it's a really cool sequence, especially seeing like how the Night's Watch defend the wall when you got the wildlings climbing up the wall with their defense mechanisms and stuff like that. Seeing like the giants firing basically their version of arrows, which is literally ballistas and stuff like that. And of course, on the other side of the wall, where the Castle Black is, you have basically a covert group of wildlings attacking that castle, and basically those who are defending Castle Black are not the best of warriors. These are like cooks, servants, attendants, messengers, even squires. Like, this is all the Night Watch has left to defend this castle, and it was a cool sequence. And as per Game of Thrones, it's a very bloody battle sequence too, especially seeing like once you see the wildlings finally get inside and this epic melee battle ensures, and you see like one of the knights of the Night Watch taking on like the main generals of the wildling forces. And it's a cool battle sequence. It really is. And especially seeing like Jon Snow's like sword skills, just going in and just knocking out wildlings left and right, killing them, even facing the same wildling general with this great battle axe, and ultimately defeated him with a bloody ending with a hammer and stuff like that. And it's a really cool sequence. I liked it a lot. The The only downside about that battle is you do see one of the giants breach through the outer gate and was attacking the inner gate, and you have like these five or six Night Watch soldiers there, and of course they're giving out their oath, or yelling out their oaths as this giant coming forward, and you never see what happens. You find out that they all died and they managed to kill the giant in there, but you never see really what happens. And I kind of wish they would have showed that. That would have been like a really cool thing to see and stuff. But yeah, so Battle of Castle Black, good sequence. First of one or two, maybe three, who knows, from Game of Thrones and stuff. So the next one is from the movie Chronicles of Narnia, the first movie, and this is also number 6. And this is the first Battle of Brenhall. I think I'm saying that right. Pretty sure I am. I think I am. But yeah, so this battle is pretty cool. You have the White Witch army, which she outnumber all of the main hero's army, of course, as all good battle sequences usually are. Yeah, you have the Kingdom of Narnia, which are led by the the supposed 4 heroes, which are 4 siblings. Again, words are hard. Maybe it's a Sunday. That's what it is. We'll blame it on Sunday and stuff. But yeah, no, it's a cool sequence. I like that they also try to do like modern tactics or stuff like that. Like the main hero kid have his all his flyers just fly out and just literally dropping rocks, just like bombers from World War II doing a carpet bomb and stuff like that. So it was kind of really cool seeing all that stuff, and seeing the centaurs too in battle, which you never really see centaurs in any of the movies fighting like in a big battle, and just seeing them like whirl out their spears, 2 giant great swords, doing these cool fantastic killing moves, and even seeing like a one-on-one battle between him and like the main Minotaur also guy. So it was a really cool sequence and stuff. And then of course the heroes getting pulled back because the White Witch army is quite powerful and big, and also the White Witch just decimating soldiers left and right, turning them to stones and stuff. So it's kind of cool. And then finally at the end you have the main hero lion Azrin come out, lead a second reinforcement assault, and the battle ends and stuff. So it's a cool battle. I liked it. I just like the fact that you see these like fantasy creatures in war that you never really see actually in a live action battle. So that's why I think it was a bit higher on this list, because it's interesting to see these like centaurs, minotaurs, and other like basically mythological creatures fighting against each other in a battle. So I thought that was really cool. Definitely well deserved on that list. Alright, so now we're in the top 5. And the top 5, this will be another entry from Game of Thrones. And at number 5, we have the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Also, basically, the Siege of King's Landing, in a sense, or at least the first Siege of King's Landing. So in this battle, we have the Lannisters, who are currently holding King's Landing because Joffrey, who is Cersei's son, is now king, but his claim means challenge and question because he might not be the true legitimate heir to be king from Robert, who was the previous king and was killed by a boar, aka probably poisoned too by his wife Cersei's. But yeah, so we have also them with Tyrion leading the defense of the city against King Stannis and his combined army, basically from the Storm's Land and gods, I forgot the name of the island that he was originally on, that is also the Targaryen Dragon Island thing. Yeah, that fortress. So he leads a giant assault on that city, and the battle is actually a pretty cool battle, and also probably one of the most realistic like battles you'll see from the movie, especially in a siege type the way it is. But the battle basically starts off as Stannis' navy, which is a giant navy, coming into Blackwater Bay to start laying siege or assaulting the walls and the gate. And out of nowhere, you see this lone ship coming forward, and only one person knew what that ship was. Like, even Joffrey did know. It was just like, where's the rest of our ships? Like the little immature brat he is. And I'm so glad the death he got is well deserved. Which is a spoiler with that if you have not watched Game of Thrones. But anyways, continue on. And as the ships came through, you see the Onion Knight just looking over and just trying to figure out, was like, the ship's up, man, what's going on? And all of a sudden you see like this green liquid pouring out. And all of a sudden he suddenly realized it's wildfire. And then with the signal from Tyrion, Bronn, or Sir Bronn, or maybe he's just Bronn at this moment, fires a flame arrow, igniting the liquid that's already in the water and causing the ship to explode, which turned out to be wildfire, which is their form of what dragon fire is, and which is also technically what Greek fire is technically also is. And you just see half of Stannis' fleet just utterly got destroyed, evaporated, disappeared, burning, and stuff like that. But Stannis was very committed, and even though one of his soldiers or generals came up as like, half our men are dead, he says, we'll lead the other half into battle. And the siege itself, or the battle sequence itself, is really cool. Even seen like a few sorties led by the Hound going out and taking on whatever soldiers Stannis was sending over. And you see Stan himself also climbing the walls and holding on to a section of the wall as the battle intensifies and stuff. And Tyrion also would lead an assault even with a epic speech, because the king decided that he had to go back to the keep because his mom ordered him, because again he's a little brat. But yeah, anyways, and Tyrion again leads an assault from a secret passage to temporarily stop the momentum of the Stannis soldiers until more of his soldiers arrive, and this pretty much almost a last stand kind of situation was happening up until finally Tyrion's father, Tywin, with soldiers from the Reach, arrive in the nick of time to save them, and Stannis was forced to retreat, and the battle ends, and it's a victory for the Lannister forces holding King's Landing. So it's a pretty cool, like I said, it's a pretty cool situation. Also one of the most realistic, like, what would look like if a sieging force did a amphibious landing and assaulting the walls and the gate and stuff. So it was really cool. I like that sequence. It's a very good sequence from Game of Thrones. So at number 4, we have the first entry of another franchise, and this is from the Lord of the Rings movies, and this is the Siege of Gondor. More precise, the Siege of Minas Tirith. So the Siege of Gondor, which was actually a siege of the entire country, like the city itself plus the skiff was not just siege, like they're out of fortresses, and their southern lands was also being attacked all at the same time by Sauron's orcs forces and his allies and stuff. But we're going to be particularly focused on the Minas Tirith itself. But there are other battles like this. The siege of Osgiliath, which you did see in the movie, is a pretty cool sequence. Also, to the north of Osgiliath, you have Caras Andros, which is Gondorian island fortress, which that itself also was a cool battle sequence from what I remember reading here and there, or just looking it up and stuff like that. But yeah, we're going to primarily do just the Siege of Minas Tirith, which Minas Tirith is such an awesome city. It's probably one of the best fantasy cities in nerdom in general. Like, I just absolutely love the way the city looks. It's multi-layered walls, how it's part of a mountain, and then also the defenses itself. Like, they have these like multiple trebuchets that can launch even larger rocks or parts of the cities into the enemies, which you do see in this sequence and stuff. But no, it's a cool sequence, especially like seeing the orcs assaulting the walls, the Gondorians, which the one thing I have on this, my gripe on it, is that I wish they would have showed the Gondorian soldiers being a more formidable soldier against the orcs. Like, these soldiers are not like, weakling. Like, I get it, the point that, they've been fighting this long time. The Witch King cast some kind of fear to the troops and stuff. I get that, but the Gondorian soldiers are actually more very powerful soldiers still. So, but still the sequence to see. And seeing Gandalf leading the defenses is really cool. Even seeing him taking out orcs left and right, trolls here and there and stuff, and then Pippin later on coming down and telling him that the steward Denethor was going to burn his body and Faramir's body because they believe there's no hope. And you get later on the sequence, which you only see in the extended version, which to me is the only way you're going to see that movie is the extended version. And you see him doing basically a one-on-one battle against the Witch King himself, which that turned out to be a really cool sequence, really awesome. It just kind of shows like how powerful the Witch King is compared to Gandalf. Even the books, I believe Gandalf is slightly powerful, but still, it's a cool sequence. I liked it a lot and stuff. And then out of nowhere, you hear certain horns, in which we will see where that will be on that list, maybe. So yeah, like I said, it's a cool sequence. Seeing the defenses of Gondor holding against the forces of Mordor, and then also seeing Mordor bringing up a giant battery ram called the Wolf's Head, Grodd, was really cool. And just seeing like the orcs like in this like religious state chanting Grodd, 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 and stuff like that. So it's a really cool sequence. I love that sequence. It's probably one of my favorite Fantasy Siege battles in general. Just the scope of it, like tens of thousands of Gondorian soldiers defending against hundreds of thousands of orcs that just want to go in and murder everyone in that city, and finally killing the line of the Numenorians once and for all. So it's a cool sequence. But yep, so we're going to go on to number 3? Question marks? Yes, number 3. And this will be the final entry from the Game of Thrones franchise. And of course, it has to be up in there. It's a really cool battle sequence. I love it a lot. And it's the Battle of the Bastards. It's a cool sequence. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite battles of the entire series in general. Just because of the scope of it and the brutality of it. As of course per Game of Thrones and everything else. So you have Jon Snow finally reunited with his sister Sansa. And they rally whatever northern men that will fight for them. Plus with the Wild Wings to take on the Boltons, which are currently led by Ramsay Bolton, who's a evil little guy. And yeah, it's a cool sequence. I like it that like as usual, the good guys are always outnumbered by the bad guys, and they don't want to attack head first. But Ramsay, who's a smart, intellectual, evil guy, captured one of the last surviving male Starks, and kind of pretend to, hey, go on, go run. And as he was running, he's just constantly firing arrows at him and stuff. And Jon Snow, on his horse, rushing desperately to save him. And right before Jon Snow can save him, Ramsay hits the last male Stark in the back with an arrow, killing him instantly. And Jon Snow, getting angry, charges forward. And Ramsay orders his archers to fire. And, of course, the Onion Knight, which somehow, someway survives many battles and certain sequences to actually be in this battle with Jon Snow, orders the rest of his army to charge headlong to go save him and stuff. And you get this really cool sequence where Jon Snow's horse gets hit by arrows. He goes down, looks up, seeing the Bolton cavalry charging straight at him, and he just pulls out his sword, threw his sleeve away, or his sheath away, and he just gets in a battle stance, ready to take on this cavalry, even though he's more likely to get trampled to death. And as it was about to happen, his cavalry shows up, this epic melee battle goes into effect, and you just see this brutality of both forces just hacking and slashing and killing each other, and also the chaotic of what a battle is. Like, this battle itself shows how really chaotic and dangerous and horrible medieval battle is. Like, you just see soldiers getting killed by arrows, like Ramsay just firing arrows even to his own troops, which just shows how much Ramsay doesn't care. He just wants to win this battle by any means necessary. And just seeing Jon Snow desperately staying alive, and you even see him do this like one attack sequence with his sword, which is a Valyrian steel sword, so it's basically a magical strong steel sword, and you just literally see him just slash his sword on a guy on a horse charging at him and knocking back him. And not only knocking back him, it destroys the other guy's sword, like shatters it, literally shatters it. It's ridiculous and stuff. And you get this mountain of bodies of horse and men that's being created. And then later on, Ramsay sends his infantry. Infantry surrounds Snow's men, and it just turns into this like confusion, running away sequence where the Boltons are closing in on them and killing them, that those that try to attack him and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, you have the Knights of the Vale coming in to save the day. And yeah, and it's like I said, it's a cool battle sequence and stuff. The actor who plays Jon Snow actually did a part where he uses his own fear of like being trampled to death as he's like desperately trying to climb up his soldiers who are now just closed in around him, and just see him taking that breath. So it's a cool sequence. And then also the Knights of the Vale arriving in time and them defeating Ramsay Bolton. And even though Jon Snow really wanted to kill Ramsay Bolton in the courtyard of Winterfell, Ramsay suffers a horrible death, which you'll find out later if you watch the show, or you already know. One of the things. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. And we're at number 2. So number 2 is another entry from the Lord of the Rings franchise. And you guys might guess this one. Maybe not. But yeah, at number 2 we have the Battle of the Helm's Deep, also known as the Battle of the Hornburg from Lord of the Rings. This is probably the most perfect battle sequence in movie history. To anyone, especially those who are Lord of the Rings fans or just fantasy fans in general, if anyone will say what is the best battle sequence you have seen from TV or movie, Helm's Deep will be on everyone's list. And it's a great battle sequence. A last defense of the men of Rohan against Saruman's forces, which are 10,000 Uruk-hais and evil men and orcs. And you have the men of Rohan. And in the movie version, there are elves there. In the book version, it was just the men of Rohan. The elves never showed up. But I like Peter Jackson's idea of bringing the elves in there just to show that, hey, the elves are not out of this fight. They're not ignoring it. They are also fighting too. Which, in the northern part of Middle-earth, the elves do actually are being attacked and laying siege by Sauron's forces and stuff like that. But the battle itself is really cool. It's basically like a last, like, survive the night kind of situation, which that's the story is. They have to survive the night by any means, any way. And you have Aragorn, Gandalf, Legolas in this battle sequence, them inspiring, leading the men, and in the movie, the elves too that are in there and stuff like that. You have King Theoden leading the defenses of his keep also, and it just turns into like this desperate hold action of like them breaching through the deepening wall with either Sauron's magic or him inventing black powder and blowing up the wall with suicidal Uruk-hais. And it's really cool just seeing, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli and Theoden just, desperately holding sections of the keep up until the last final moment where they're in the hall and they decided to, let's charge out and meet them. And the really cool sequence of them charging out from the hall, going through the keep, going out, and then just fighting and slashing, holding them off from what appears to be a last stand. And then, out of nowhere, from the rising sun, Gandalf the White shows up with the rest of the Rohirrim coming in and charging down a mountain. Yeah, not up a mountain, down a mountain. And really cool that in the books, I think Gandalf did unleash like this powerful white light to blind the Uruk-hais. But seeing the sun coming up as the light blinding the Uruk-hais and just seeing the Rohirrim charging through and decimate him and stuff like that. In the extended version, you do see the surviving Uruk-hai running away into a forest that appear out of nowhere, which turns out to be horns, which are trees that can actually move, and they just decimate the rest of the Uruk-hai and stuff like that. But the Battle of Helm's Deep is a cool battle sequence. Really, really cool battle sequence. It's probably the best battle sequence almost of all time. But in my opinion, it's only at number 2. Which, if you guys really know me, you probably already know what's number 1. And I love this one so much. I thought it's amazing. I love it both in the movie and both in the book. This is the last and final entry from the Lord of the Rings franchise. And of course, if you don't know what it is, it's the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Why else would not this be number 1? I can get Helm's Deep can be number 1 and this be number 2. You can switch back and forth if you guys want to on that. But to me, the Battle of Pelennor Fields is absolutely amazing. It's beautifully gorgeous. Seeing them pulling out the horns, and the orcs stop and look, and you just see this force coming in, which is 6,000 riders coming in, and leading them is of course King Theoden, and of course unbeknownst to Theoden, his niece Eowyn with Mary are also in it too. So it's just a great sequence, and seeing the King of Rohan looking at this, and at first, maybe thinking he should retreat, but he decided, you know what, let's charge in anyways, and did this great battle speech, which is absolutely amazing, absolutely awesome. And then finally they all charge down in this perfect, like, gigantic wedge formation. The sequence itself, like seeing that from, like, a bird's eye view, like swooping in, charging into the orcs, is absolutely beautiful and amazing. Like The Return of the King, which did win like Best Pictures and 10 other Oscars too when it won it, shows why this movie was great. And the battle itself, just seeing the Rohirrim decimating the orcs retreating, and then also as the battle continues, you see the men of the Harondum riding on their giant Murukai, or elephants, coming in. You just see this great clash of the men of Rohan and the men of Harondum, and seeing horses getting left and right and stuff like that. And then finally seeing Theoden trying to rally his soldiers to up and been attacked by the Witch King out of nowhere, and his body is now broken. His horse is on top of him as he's about to get killed, possibly killed off by the Witch King. A Rohan warrior shows up, which turns out to be his niece, Edwin. And this great duel between her and the Witch King happens, and then finally, with the help of Mary defeating and killing the Witch King, of course, you got that famous line, "I am no woman," or "I am no man." Screwed it up, but recovered a little bit. But yeah, it's such a great sequence. Awesome sequence. Great. And it well deserves to be number one in my list of these fantasy battles. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a longer episode, probably one of the longest one, maybe the longest one. I have to look back and stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed it and stuff like that. Like I said before, I do have ideas of other episodes to do besides, two of my top favorite episodes and stuff. And also there are TV shows and movies that I am about to watch / currently watching. At the time of this recording, I think The Last of Us is about to start, so I'm excited for episode 4, I think, is coming out and stuff. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, give this a like, comment on what's your favorite fantasy battles, or what else did I miss on each of these battles that you guys have seen or possibly played, aka Dragon Age. And yeah. And until then, guys, I hope you'll all be great. I hope you all do fantastic. And as always, my friends, stay geeky.